Yeah. And relax. I gotta go. Been making too much noise. Good morning. Good morning. This is Hello from Guam. I'm Pauline Baird, and this is What the Story Say. We are going to be talking about, let me see. Let me see. Dean, can you see me? Shauna. Dean. All right. Morning. Nice to see y'all. This is What the Story Talking Money today. We're talking about those practices and beliefs we have in Guyana. And if you're not joining from Guyana and any other part of the world, just let me know. I'm willing to hear your story. So if you like, just say where you watch from and we will get started. So right now I'm in Guam, sunny Guam. It's nice and warm. Maybe it's in the 90s already. I don't know, but it's bright and everything. Yesterday was a busy day. It was a 3 day, I think, clean up the yard and stuff like that. Well, let's get to the business of money. Now, in Guyana, we have certain things we say when that are related to money. And when we talk about these things related to money, I always ask, what do these things mean? What do they mean when we are talking about them? For example, if your hand will scratch you, they say you will get money. But I'm not sure if it's the right hand or the left hand. You guys know which hand does make the thing walk? I can't remember.
I'm not even certain about that too. I think it's your right hand.
I don't know when the people, let me ask the people, the Guyanese or anybody else, what's up? Yeah, I don't know which hand, but there's a hand that if it itches you in the middle, you will get money. Um, I don't know if you're supposed to scratch it back, but I think I saw in somebody talking about this in another culture. I don't know if it's Nigerian. They were saying you got to scratch a certain way so that the money can stay in your hand. So I guess you're scratching in, I don't know, some way, somehow, but I don't know if Guyanese have that, but I know you scratch your hand. Another thing about um, insects is a certain insect. When you see it, you're going to get money.
Spider.
Certain insect. Yes, spider or the Nazi. Yes, if it's, mhm. And if it's a big one, then I guess you get big money or small one. But any Nancy is what we call the money Nancy. And when you see the money Nancy, you got to look out because you're going to get money. All of that is practices. I have no idea where these practices come from. I have no idea if other countries have the same kinds of beliefs. Heaven knows. Yeah. Okay. Um, in my research, um, I learned that Guyanese have beliefs about the way they handle money. For example, if you have your money, that's supposed to put it, where is it supposed to put it? They say not put it on the ground. Put it on the ground. You got to put it somewhere carefully. But that is astounding because you can put it in your hair, put it in your shoe. I don't even understand. Some of these things kind of like, confusing. Yeah. But one thing I know growing up is that, and then you grandparents had shop. I don't know which shop it is, but they say you shouldn't buy things even go shopping after 6 o'clock. As a matter of fact, I didn't know many stores that were open after 6 o'clock when I was growing up. What's the deal with that? you know. And that was a shock for me because when I moved abroad, one of the first things I realized is that shop open all night, you know. Kmart on this island, Guam has the biggest Kmart, and this Kmart is open 24/7. Hi, Marissa. Good evening. We're talking about shop. When Guyanese, I don't know if it's a thing now. Hi, LOL, you calling me, girl? I'm so happy to see you. We're talking about money, beliefs, and practices. Um, when I was growing up, you couldn't go to shop after 6 o'clock. Shop, as a matter of fact, there's say open 6 to 6. So shop would open all day, but not night. But I wonder about rum shops. I was too young. I never observed rum shops. So what is story with young with rum shop? Rum shop are open nighttime,
No, we
and you pass.
opened until 9. I remember Border closing the shop at 9 o'clock. That was
Okay.
standard. We'd open in the
Mm,
morning like from 7. Let's say
mm,
6:37. Let's say 7, and she closed at
yeah.
9. I don't recall her
Okay.
closing at 6. And even if she has to close early, maybe she's going to a
Mm-hmm.
funeral. I know the
Mm-hmm.
shop had to be closed whenever a dead is, well, say dead passing, but the funeral procession is passing. She'll close the shop until they pass. Then you
Yeah.
reopen. That's just for a few minutes or so. But our time was from 7 to 9.
And so you reminded me about the 6 o'clock B. You know, 6 o'clock B was the thing you measure time by. I think the old people didn't have clocks back in the day or watches. So they used the elements and nature to determine time. And when the cicadas make that sound, we call it 6 o'clock B, it's time for thing wrap up. But you know what I was thinking? That maybe this business of not buying things after 6 had to do with Sal Good Shop. Maybe Sal Good because you know, in boxing you had a set of Sal Good shops. You had Mr. Newton, my famous guy. You had the Abrams up the front, and then you had the
Theater,
neighboring. Eh?
theater, theater in
TT,
the
that's
street.
Sal Good.
Yeah,
Oh, really? How
yes.
about Wilson Place? That was a supermarket with turnstile and all kinds of stuff in
Oh,
Buxton back damn side.
oh, we were small then.
Wilson's Place. Yeah. You didn't know that?
I know Mason had a theater, movie theater.
No.
I don't know
Upstairs
about.
had the downstairs at Mason Place, right by Guyana there, had a store. I think I only went there like once or twice, and they had all the shelves with stuff. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I saw turnstiles in there because I know children used to go in there and steal things. That's how I heard about it. But I didn't live at that back damn side, so I didn't know. I don't know firsthand. So if I get it wrong, correct me. I only went there one time. Um, but in vigilance, you had Sadhu and Harry. Sadhu and Harry that's open after 6 o'clock. Me not think so, you know. Me not think so. When you see night start to catch you, Sadhu and Harry want close. And a lot of Buxton people used to go to those shops and patronize them. So I don't know if it was just a saying and it's not true, or it could be that there was some regulation for commerce back in those days that good shops had to close at a certain time, maybe. Um, in terms of what that means, if you have a business and it has to close at 6 o'clock, what does that do for revenue? You know, is this thing backward? Was it backward back in the day? I don't know what the benefits were for that in the day. It could be that they're off the streets at a certain time. And if you're off the street at a certain time, you regulate society and who's on the street at night or not. So children can't be on the street at night. So they're going to shop. It could also mean that you get a kind of work-life balance. I'm trying to make meaning of these. I'm trying to make meaning of these practices and beliefs that they have. You know, with in terms of money and money making.
Oh, Pauline, I think Bort used to say what happened then. Remember, before they had electricity, they used flambeau. So I think
Oh,
for maybe security reasons, and by 6 o'clock the
mhm,
place is dark, that's when they would close shop. So maybe at that
mhm.
point in time, she closed at 6, but from what I can recall as a child, they open until 9. When there's
Yeah.
blackout, she would close at 6 o'clock.
Okay. That
But
makes sense, because I always wonder why they have these practices or these beliefs in place. What was advantageous for them or not? You know. Um, how about I was talking to my neighbor yesterday, and it was something she said to me. My neighbor is Chamorro. Chamorro are the people that belong to the Marianas and the Pacific. They're a special group of people. Um, what do they look like? They look like dark skin like me, lighter, and straight curly hair, but they're Micronesians, Polynesians mix, that kind of the Oceania, right? If you don't know, look it up. Um, yeah. So my neighbor, I was telling her something, and I remember one day she had gone abroad and she came back and she said, Paul, I keep losing money. I keep losing money. Every time I got to spend money, I'm losing money. I'm so fed up. And she was quarreling. I said, well, how come you're losing money? She said, I asked my family, they stayed in my house. And then I discovered they were cleaning at night. Paul, they cleaned at night. And she was really complaining. And then I thought to myself, whoa, we have a similar culture, about cleaning at night and money. How is money linked to um, cleaning, which is an oxymoron or kind of a conflicting thing for me because I see things that they say and then they change it. So if y'all know, chime in. Yeah. So, for example, as far as I know, they say don't clean at night, don't sweep out at night. So apparently, you have to sweep and put the dust in a corner and don't sweep it outside the house. Because if you sweep it outside the house, that brings you bad luck and you lose money. You sweep out your riches and your money. But I can't remember if Christmas Eve night, when they're doing all the cleaning and decorating, if they just sweep out and throw everything out.
of course, you don't want Christmas there.
What?
All them dust, all that stuff in the yard. No, I
They
did.
make joke.
I'm serious. Who gonna save dirt in a corner for Christmas Day? Hell no.
So
Mm-mm.
there's a problem.
When
How
you have a
imagine?
death in the family or death in the house, that dust gotta be in the corner there. You wouldn't sweep it out for whatever reason. But for Christmas, I guess there was an exception to the rule there. Christmas Eve
But
night, we cleaning up and all of that. I would put the dust out.
okay. Boxing people and Guyanese are you weighing on this? I just clean at your house at night and sweep out all the dust. Do. That is the problem. That is the question. Them say if you sweep out the dust, do you sweep out all your money. So, because even me, when I sweep, I don't sweep out the dust at night time. This thing ingrained in me, I put it in a corner till next day. And nothing sweet like cleaning at night. Meaning I don't clean daytime in this place too hot. This place hot, so I want to clean at night. But my neighbor said the Chamorro culture is don't clean at night. So they don't wash things at night. Um, but she said it's not so much the washing, but it's the sweeping at night. Then the sweep of the money. Talking money, yeah, not at night. Is it just because of money or other things? Because I know for funerals or when you get dead, like Dean said, you don't sweep out the dust and thing. So that's that. So I don't know if that make any sense to people. If it's because again they didn't have light, like electric light, that they were afraid that they would sweep out something important out of the house. I don't know. These are old practices and beliefs and taboos. So do you know in East Indian culture, I don't know if Black or African Guyanese culture they have this, but I think in East Indian culture, when they make a sale, the first sale in a business, what happens there? You know, I went to Bali, and Bali has a large grouping of Hindus. And when you go to their stores in the morning, they have rice in a bowl and coconut leaf and incense. And in fact, when you enter Bali, even from the air, you smell the incense. It's as if them people doing walk, everything. And so they have this practice that when you go and you get the first sale, they would give you like discount. But I think in Guyana they get a name for that. Oh, I mean, East Indian friend in there, man. Laugh out loud, you know the story? When you go and buy the first sale that people make in the market, they doesn't give you a first price. They give you a, what do you call that thing, man? They get a good price. They just give people. I don't know the name for it, but I noticed that in Bali that they do the same thing. They give you a good price or they give you good bargain. I don't know the name. So if you all know the name, yeah, I'll tag the name. Then they have another practice with coins. There's a whole set of practices and taboos regarding coins. I don't know if Guyana get copper coins anymore. I haven't seen a coin in Guyana in years. Guyanese get coins again or only notes? I don't know. Yeah, I'll tag the thing. Because when I was growing up and you get a coin and the coin get tarnished, you get like crust on it, the greenish looking thing on it. You got to take the lime and the salt and put the coin between, you cut the lime, put some salt, and you put the coin between and you rub it. And it becomes very shiny and good. Yes. So that was a practice that they had with money. But by the same token, you know, we as kids used to like to pick up money, but they had a taboo about picking up money. For those of you who don't know, and I don't know if your culture has this, but they say you shouldn't pick up coins, especially coins, if you see it in your yard. Or if you pick it up, you got to do certain rituals before you can pick up this money. And there's a reason for that. I don't even know where these reasonings come from, but it's so Guyanese do. I don't know if you know, but they say if somebody wants to do you, do means to obey you or to send bad juju to you or to, where else I can put it? Send evil after you. They're going to put it with money. They're going to put it with money. And they throw it in your yard. Well, you're supposed to pick it up. If you see money around your yard, you're supposed to look at it very strange. And in order to cut the juju or the obia or whatever, you're supposed to take stale pea and throw it on it. Well, back in them day, they had stale pea because they used to pea and posy, right? And posy, like I told you before, is like a big cup, huge cup like that, a utensil or a vessel that they used to use for go to the bathroom indoors, because back in the day they didn't have indoor plumbing. And nobody want to get up at night and go in no latrine where they get Santa P and all them kind of thing, then they can probably bite you. And of course, you gotta go outside in the dark. So they used to do that. So they take this tail P, they say, and throw it on the money. They say, if you go and pick up, if you go and pick up the money, you're done for. You're done for. Oh yes, and Marissa said here, you got to people put salt on the coins because the salt purifies. So this is beliefs, and I'm pretty sure in maybe these things, I want to think that these things come from African culture. I'm not sure, but I have a feeling. I was supposed to get somebody to give me this information, but never made the connection. So it is what it is. Yes. So they got to cut this thing. some people have ways to deal with money, even when they have business. Like Marissa says, they don't want to take money. They would tell you, put it down on the stall. Well, I did some research about that. Um, I don't remember in Guyana that being a thing. I never experienced that, but it could be there, and I believe it's there. But I called my friend in Prague, Sots, Mikhail Sots in Prague, to buy, tell me the money taboos as a Guyanese, what you observe. And he said, like you said, Marissa, in Prague, in the Czech Republic, people don't touch coins. If you have to give coins to a grocer or somebody in a store, or even to someone, you're supposed to just drop it in the palm. You drop it. You don't touch the people. You just drop the coins because it's bad manners to do that. Maybe there is more behind that practice, but he doesn't know. And when it comes to tips, in Guyana, when people go 5, 10, 15, or 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, flip it so, you can't, that is not allowed. If you are going to pay someone or give somebody notes, you have to put it down on the table or on the counter, one at a time, and count it up, flip notes at people. I noticed that in Japan as well, you don't give people notes like that. When you go to the grocery store, there's a little plate, like a little container, like a narrow plate. And that plate, when they show you the amount you're supposed to pay, you have to put the money on that plate. They will not touch that plate, and they will tell you, if you put 1,000 yen, they will say 10 yen. They will announce the amount that you have there, 10 yen. You can say hi or yes. Then they ring up the register and they take out the change, whatever change you have to have. And then they take the money. So, when I was growing up, people used to tell shopkeeper, hey, I get $10 and I only get them $1, because the person took the money, they put it with other money, and then trying to serve, and somebody want to con them and say, you won't give me the money. Well, that don't happen in Japan. You got to put on your money, them articulate how much money there, then they give you the change. So nobody ain't getting over nobody. This get over culture was a big thing in Guyana. So that makes sense. Coins, we put all money in a tray there in Japan as well. People don't take money by hand, really. No, that's not a thing in Japan. Mm-mm. And I guess same thing in Prague. But Guyana, it's different. Hi, Kweku, good night. We're talking money, what people do. Now, in this, yeah, wow, that's important. That's interesting and important. Marissa says some people even wash their hands with lime and salt and then leave a cut lime on your salt. Oh, to purify anything. Money nasty, allergic thing. Yeah. That's why people don't put money in their mouth. But then here you go, people put coins in their ears, like we talked about last time. So I don't know, these things have some exceptions to these rules or taboos. Yeah. Market people would take the money and stuff. I would see how they would want to wash their hands with lime and salt. But it's in the age of COVID, people got to wash their hands of all kind of thing. And when I first when I first came to Japan to now, I witnessed a shift in the culture. And when we talk about these stories here, we're also witnessing the shift in cultural practices and traditions in our country. And so I observed the same in Japan. When I first went there, I could not use a credit card. It was hard to use a credit card because nobody took cards. It was a cash culture. People would walk with hundreds and thousands of yen in their purse. When we go out to eat with my friends, they got lots and lots of money, hundreds of dollars in their purse. I said, who walking with that kind of money? Because you could not spend with a credit card. Now, 16, 17 years later, is a card culture because of COVID and so on. everywhere takes cards, and they have these personalized cards and different digital ways of paying for things. So it's showing me within 20 years, Japanese culture has made a significant shift. And so I'm looking at Guyanese culture too. Do our taboos and practices still hold up, or are we seeing a change? So y'all tell me, I don't live there, you know. I'm just talking about money to see what we can learn about that. And yeah, what's the next one on my list? There's this one that was kind of funny. Um, Money and the dead. We all know about money and the dead. What kind of practices we have with money and the dead? Because I was thinking money and wedding, money and the dead, money and shopping, money at home, and things like that. Yep. Well, one of the things I learned, I'm pretty sure they're not doing this now, I think, or maybe dead country, you don't know. But when people died long, long ago, I'm not sure in my time because I never see this. As a child, you don't get to see dead people, so they used to take money and put it on the people eye when they're dead. So I guess to shut their eye. So maybe they don't want them dead with their eye open. And back then they used to keep dead at home. And I don't know what else this practice has, but it was a thing. I have a feeling it was the British money because those coins were heavy. So they put it on the eye. So what they're doing, they're placing on people's eye when they're dead.
There were pennies that were used back in the day.
The
Pennies to put on the ice to close it. But
Now
I mean,
Guyana,
huh? No, back in the day when they had those, it was British Guyana then, right? There were
yeah,
some big, with it
the
silver,
big,
penny or silver. We call it silver dollar.
you don't know, the
You
pound.
never see a silver dollar back in British Guyana day time. I
Yeah,
remember
they
Borto
had,
used to have them in a kerchief with
yeah.
starch. Is starch or root starch? I don't know to preserve it, but I know they. She said they would put it on the eyes to keep it closed
Mm-hmm,
when if somebody died at home.
mm-hmm.
But because when they come, I mean, the dead will remain home and be on ice and whatever it is until burial. But
Yeah.
I guess once rigor mortis steps in and the eyes closed, they remove the penny and they keep it.
I think there's a story we read in high school of somebody who thief the people gold kind of the body eye. The people put gold coins on the dead eye, and somebody go and thief it. Yeah. So it's interesting that she was putting the money in our root starch because I guess the money will get tarnished, so they don't want it to get tarnished, get a thing on it. So maybe that's why. Yeah, but that was just an interesting aside and what they did with money with the dead. Um, the other thing with money that came up, that was a big thing, is this business of buying the child, where the Indian person would buy the African child, and the African parent or so would buy the Indian child. Y'all know what is buying and selling? Yeah. Um, it seemed like long ago there was a practice where people would buy a sickly child. If a child was sickly, they they would get somebody to buy the child. I don't even know how they used to negotiate this buying. It's kind of strange to me. So sometimes you get Indian children with black names, um, Shirley and Jenny and whatever, and that's because the parents sell them. Yeah, ever know anybody get bought? Yeah, talk the thing. Mercy, you know that girl? Yes, this is how I understand the story. I understand if you get a sickly child and the child ain't getting better, one of the things was supposed to sell the child. And this is not trafficking. This was before all this nonsense about trafficking or this phenomenon of trafficking. But this is how I understand it. It could be more to this. If y'all know, talk. Una de ane now, talk it later. So if you name, let us say the Smith family get this sickly child, daughter, and they know some Indian body. I don't know if the Indian body got to, I think it's a friend or even market people. You patronize them. And you talk about the sickly child. The Indian body will say, me go buy me go buy from you. And somebody told me a while back that she was sold to an Indian person. So what the mother did, took her to the market. And you know, market can always get dung heap, but then throw all the rotten cassava and rotten head and whatever else. So mother put she on the dung heap. She throw she, so to speak, symbolically. Put she down. Indian person go and take she from the dung heap. The mother there right there, but it's a ritual. Put she the dung heap, take she from the dung heap, you can say, buy am from you. And then I think either they give you 25, the mother 25 cents. This money pass, 25 cents. Now the Indian person gonna name this child a new name. Let us say she named the child Shani. Now she now get a new name, Shani Smith. You see? This Indian family, this child never goes home with the Indian family, but they're going to look out for this child and different things like that. And vice versa. If an Indian person get a sickly child, they do the same. But you got to understand, Buxton back in those days was partly Indian and partly black. Some people think Buxton is just a black village. It's not. Buxton had a lot of East Indians, especially at the front and also in the back. You go to look at some of the historical records of Buxton, even now. I got maps of Buxton. A lot of lands, all by them, Constella and what's this lady? Miss Frida Marcus. And so those lands are in their names. Yeah. And Portuguese name, Mr. Mark, like my Uncle Seaton land at the back there by Yardine, was in Mark's name. So a lot of Portuguese had land in there, East Indian had land there, especially at Line Top. So East Indian and blacks were living side by side, and a lot of times before the 64 riots and things like that. And so they were very neighborly. So to me, the buying and selling of the child thing brought people in a community closer together. It indicated that people cared. So I don't know where this ritual come from, if it's an African ritual or if it's a East Indian Guyanese ritual, I have no idea. So if y'all know, tag the thing. But that's how one person told me how she was bought and the circumstances. Some some people said they didn't get bought with money. They get bread or I think when you pass the money, yeah, clarify. I'm not sure in my head, but there was something about either they take the 25 cents and buy bread for the child and the family, something like that. So you see, it has a lot of provision. Who knows if back then the picnic been a sickly because the picnic eat good, you know? And so they look out for one another. Somebody else told me that there was some girl who was bought by a black family, and the children in that family knew her, and they would look out for her like their sister. So if she's going to school, and yes, okay, so if she's going to school and people want to trouble her or interfere with her, it wasn't a thing because the black children in that family would stand up and fight for her, you know? So sometimes East Indian children were kind of vulnerable because, you know, black children can be rambunctious too. And so, you know, they fatigue hard. There's fatigue one another. And so if you're going too rough on this child, this family where the child gets sell into, you got to meet with them. And they don't allow anybody to interfere with that child. Vice versa, the East Indian child would look out for the black kid. Hmm.
I think those things were superstitious to some extent. I do understand it was a practice, and for those persons, like I said before, there could have been a logical explanation as to why the child is sick. However, because you
Right.
believe that this is part of quote unquote the culture, where if you
Hmm.
sell the child is going to be better or whatever it is, they went ahead with it. But then also there are those persons who were a bit wary too, because sometimes let's say you're trying to adhere to the culture and you sell the child with the expectation that the child is going to get better. And then
Yeah.
ideally what happens, that child is being sacrificed. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
people are, for me personally, I'm wary about that whole stuff because I'm a child who was sick from the time I was born. And I can remember distinctly,
Hmm.
that's why I didn't say much. I remember distinctly somebody saying to my parents, maybe you should sell she. And Border said,
Hmm.
not at all. So
Yeah.
I think if you believe that it was something that was going to help your child, you're willing to try it. If you didn't, it probably didn't work. But I guess it was just part of the culture.
Yes. So that's why I wanted to dig a little deeper, because now we can look at it with strange eyes and say, what is this? Is this a bad thing or a good thing? But people had a lot of good things to say. So I want the people who know about this thing weigh in on this and say, what were some of the good things or bad things about it, or other ways to look at this practice? Where it come from? What was its purpose? Because how would this child miraculously get healed or stuff like that? I have no idea. I have no idea. Yeah. Mm. Marissa said she thought that the selling was going to the sea. I don't know about that one. I know people go and do like rituals at the sea, but I don't know if it had anything to do with selling or anything to do with money, you know. But money rituals are part of a lot of cultures. And they got evil ones and they have good ones. You just have to read up about, let's say, for example, Nigerian culture. I picked that one because it's very much money rituals. You know, even nowadays, they say you have to be careful who you date and why they're dating you, because somebody might be dating you to do money rituals with you. But I don't know exactly what is this money ritual, but there you have it. So if you can weigh in on those things, that would be great. But I'm really, really curious about this selling thing. If anybody get bought, what's the story and how you feel about that? Yeah. And one of the last things I want to talk about, I got in my book here. Yes. Um, is payment. When you get, you know, when you work and you get paid, what is the rituals about your first pay, or beliefs or practices regarding your first paycheck? What you're supposed to do with it, or what you're not supposed to do with it, or what people traditionally did or advised young people to do, or anybody when you get your first paycheck.
You buy a loaf of bread and you share it, and you're
Share it
supposed
with
to
who?
share. You buy a loaf of bread first, and you
Mm-hmm.
share the bread, and also you can share your salary. You share a part of it. That is what I was told. Buy a loaf of bread, you share it amongst the people in the house, and
Yeah.
according to them, you give a freck to like them trend nearby, Julian and them. You give everybody a little freck,
Mm-hmm.
your first salary.
Okay. So what's the meaning of that? You have any idea? Or what do you suppose? Looking back now, what do you suppose it
I'm
really meant?
thinking bread is to ensure that there's always provision in
Mm-hmm.
the home, and I guess sharing it, meaning you're being generous, and I guess it comes back to you.
Mm-hmm.
It was never
Yeah.
explained, but I know bread, she said, to ensure that there's always provision or food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes sense. That's what my research said, that you're supposed to buy bread and you're supposed to share it, share your money. Yeah. I guess it's gratitude or giving back. That's what it meant. Yeah. So selflessness, so to speak. Um, I think what my auntie used to say, my auntie used to say, I think somewhere around that first paycheck, you're supposed to buy You got to buy your clothes so you can make appearance. That was a big thing for her. So you can make appearance. You got to buy this pants length and things like that so you can make appearance. So that's one of the things. But bread came up and buy money with money. Um, Also, with the paycheck, somebody was telling me that there's this happening or phenomenon where where you're working, sometimes where you work, people would get their check. Let's say they work in a grocery store, and somehow they end up spending all their money at the grocery store. Like they cannot not buy at this grocery store. So basically, they work at the grocery store and the money goes right back into the grocery store. And they say it's like a cycle. They can't get out of it. So they're thinking that there is something to do, some ritual in connection with that. Like somebody must do them. This employer got some kind of a hold on them that the money they give out will only be spent in their business. Y'all ever heard of? So one guy was telling me that he observed a place where he worked. All the people who worked there could not get out of that. Somehow the money spending on this woman that he worked for her satellite business. So she had cook shop. This was in the bush. She had groceries. She had farming, vegetable, and these people who work there, they check almost all of it will go back into this woman's business. And he said that when he got his money used to be paid in tongue. And the lady used to tell him, man, I can make it available here so you can get your money here. That's in the bush. He said he had observed this thing and he said, me money never come here because me end up like I'm saying people this vicious cycle. And one guy who was there was the one who alerted him to what was happening. So he had looked and noticed that that thing was really happening for true. And the people there seemed like, or they said they can't get out of it. But I had a different theory about why that was happening. So I don't know if it's any ritual. I think people just weren't paying attention, or the services that were available belong to this one person. Right. If this one person in the bush, I know bush don't sometimes, those in interior places, they don't have like huge options or very many options. So you might get this one man who renting tree house and people go in there living like barracks. Um, he owned the cook shop, or he gets some girls cooking in the cook shop. Then he get a bar over there. He owned that too. And then the hospital, they're bringing the medical. So he got something he doing there. He get transportation. So all the services by one man. So where you want to go spend? Where? Not the same people? So to me, that was the thing. But he said he don't know. He said he don't want to get locked into nothing like that. So he never used to have his money come there. But the lady was smart. She kept telling him, you should bring your money. Of course, you're looking for clients, right? So that's the whole thing. So that's all I got to offer y'all for money. Money, rituals, practices, and beliefs, and how they talk about culture. You listen to the stories that are told and the beliefs that are out there, and you scratch below the surface to see what more we can learn about these things. Are these things that's mysterious or mystical or mythical as we think, or they were just practical things that made sense for the time? Or are these things with deeper meaning that should still be practiced now? When we write our stories and we tell our stories like this, we get to examine for ourselves the things that are beneath our culture, what I call the whispered stories. And what do these whispered stories tell us? They tell us how things were in the past, and we can see the change to the contemporary time and what benefits they give us or what disadvantages are available, or how to think of them in new ways. Because, for example, we used to have this whole idea about box back in the day, throwbacks. People still throw backs. Um, People still throw backs, but that was way back then. It was very, very rampant in my grandmother's day and so on. And to some extent, it still goes on right now. But if the young people were to look at that system now, they will see something quite different, hopefully. They will see things like microfinancing for self efficacy and things like that. Now you got people, a lot of people can make their own business. So, there's an upsurge of entrepreneurs. And basically, Vax was supposed to help entrepreneurs and so on, and the regular man in the street. So you look at it and say, ancient thing and so. But now you look at it, they have new names for it. Yes. So that ends this discourse here about money. I'll catch y'all later. Holiday almost finished, and I'll be back to my old haunt and talking about different things. All right. So put the comments inside. This is what the story said. Thank you very much. I'm always happy when you can come on and share stories because I'm not the only one talking here. I can only tell you so much as this platform allows. And sometimes I'm deliberate in saying everything I know because I want to give you a space to add your voice. Because after all, this is what the story said. Thank you very much for watching. You're always appreciated. Click the like button, offer your comments if you're on YouTube and you want to know when I'm posting videos. Click the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to pay anything. On Facebook, you can click follow on What the Story Said. Me, Pauline Baird, and What the Story Say are two different things, are two different body. What the Story Say lady and one different lady fan for me. What the Story Say is the page where the business of me is just me. Mhm. All right. Thank you. You are good.